¿Qué onda, my sisters and brothers? Thank you for joining us on Movement Es Medicina, a SuperMarkRock podcast. I'm SuperMarkRock, Dr. Mark A. Lopez. Movement Es Medicina is just that, a movimiento, a movement. This is a space dedicated to motivating gente, the people, the community, to build healthy habits and rituals that transform lives. Each episode, I sit down with mi hermanas y hermanos, dope, educated individuals, to explore their active lifestyles and mental well-being strategies and the brilliance they carry every single day. So welcome to Movement Es Medicina. Speaking of dope, educated individuals, I am joined by my sister, mi hermana, Elena Beltran, aka a chingona artist, aka a fellow Sun Devil,
That's right.
aka a fierce education advocate for our gente, aka a newlywed,
Oh,
aka a dope, educated individual. Hermana, welcome to Movement Es Medicina. Thank you for being with us
thank
this evening.
you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you for
thank you,
having
thank you.
me.
Absolutely. This is
It's
way
exciting.
overdue. That's right. It is exciting. It's way overdue. Can't wait to get into your journey and our conversation. I appreciate you making time, making space for us, our listeners, our viewers, and the Movement Es Medicina community this evening. So let's jump in. Tell
All
us,
right.
Elena Beltran, who are you? Who is Elena Beltran? Share with our listeners and viewers, please.
Jeez. Don't ask any hard questions or anything. Well, I do, the one thing I do appreciate you saying is talking about in terms of like education, because I do feel like that has been, not that I ever say that my profession defines who I am, my profession is who I am, but I am in the profession that I'm in because of who I am. So I think for me, just growing up, grew up in a small town in Arizona, surprise for those of you who know, woo! Small rural town. And for me, always, back then, I always knew that if I was going to do anything in this world, I needed education. So it was very important to me, even as a child, just wanting to get good grades, wanting to do something. And Some of my teachers back then, apparently, when I was in kindergarten, they asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up, and I told them I wanted to be an attorney. And the teachers would ask me, "Do you even know what that is?" Because it was, a little 5, 6 year old kid telling them, "Oh, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be an attorney."
Yeah, yeah.
And apparently, I did know what it was, and I told him
Hmm.
yes. So and that has always been something that's been important to me. Working in my community, working for the people that I grew up with, the people who look like me, and
Mm-hmm.
making sure that, our community took all the opportunities that they could and understood what was out there for them to make a better life for themselves, make the lives that they wanted for themselves. So I feel like that's been like my passion over the years, and getting this far into my career now, 20 almost
Híjole, híjole.
graduation. It's a long career being in higher education, man, I tell you that. But you know,
Mm-hmm.
um, just really getting into that work and trying to make sure that I'm doing with whatever resources and positions that I have,
Yeah,
that I can do as much as I can for my students and the community that I'm serving. And then
100%.
outside of that, I'm a regular person.
No,
I,
you're
you
not.
know,
Whatever. No, you are not. You're far from it. You're far from it. Please, please.
I know we were talking earlier about like artwork, and yeah, I do consider myself an artist, and I will say this: it took me many, many years to be able to say that comfortably.
Mm,
And I think other people who are artists or who do anything artistic or put things out there, into the community, when you first start off, like you feel like you haven't earned it yet to be able to say that you are this thing or of this community. And I
mm-hmm.
definitely felt like, well, I didn't go to art school. I've never taken any formal art classes. I just one day started to draw and then realized that I actually had a talent for it. And then it was just practice makes perfect. So over the years, I kept doing it, and I got better and better and better. And for the longest time, I would never call myself an artist,
Mm,
just because I felt like I wasn't. I
mm.
wasn't an artist. And it took me really kind of growing up and like, no, I am an artist. I do this. You know,
That's
I may
right.
not necessarily make my complete living off of my artwork, but I put my art out there, and I
Hmm.
feel like that's enough. If nobody else likes it, didn't matter. But
Right.
you know, I do you know, I do my art and then I put it out there, and that's enough right there. So finally,
Amen.
I'm comfortable, you know, after all these years, saying yes, I am also an artist in the art community here in Arizona. So
No, definitely, most definitely. And I could say I remember when sitting in your apartment in Northern Virginia, having those little kickbacks as we comb through. I don't forget what the platform was, Napster or one or the other, searching for oldies, and you're over there in your little corner drawing, painting, as you're having a little kickback.
yeah,
So I could say I knew you win,
right,
and I know it's before
right.
that too. I know it's well
That
before
was
that, but I
that
remember
was
vision.
that was that's when I really started to like draw seriously, like actually sit at an art table and really try to draw and do something with it.
Mm,
And that was way later in life, which I feel like a lot of artists, you know, it's like something that they've been doing since they were, you know, knee high, and they just have always had it in them. And
mhm,
I consider myself to be crafty and artistic, but not necessarily, you know,
mm.
somebody who was like really serious about it. And it wasn't until like what, my 20s, that I really started to take it serious and start, you know, actually
Yeah.
trying. And here I am now.
Yeah, no, I love it, and I mean, you are an artist. I mean, I've had
Thank
the
you.
pleasure and privilege to see your work up close and personal, firsthand. But also, it's a space that brings you joy, like you said. I mean,
Yes.
regards, it's not for the buyer, it's not for the art community, but it's for you. It's a space that brings you joy, and you're sharing that craft of
Oh,
yours, that
yeah.
beauty with others, if they buy it or not. But you are putting it out there to your, like you
Yeah.
said, and that's important. And we'll get to that. And that importance of mental health. And that's something I speak to quite a bit. That space of joy. And I know this is a space that's brought you joy for a number of years, regardless of how you identified artist, non-artist, in the community, outside the community. But still, at its core, it's always brought you joy, Elena. Right?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to have opportunity. Thank you for that, for sharing a bit about you, the personal as well as the professional side as an educator. But I want to have an opportunity for our listeners, our viewers, to get to know you a bit more on a deeper level. So I want to ask a few lightning round questions, just whatever comes to mind. Don't think about
Okay.
it too much. Just spit it out. Your response. Is that cool?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Go for it. Go
You
for it.
still?
Of
All
course.
right, here we go. Ready?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Okay.
Favorite U.S. city?
Chicago.
Chicago.
Outside of Arizona, Chicago.
Chicago. Okay. Better
Yes.
cook, you or Richard?
Oh, me, 100 every day, all day long. That man don't cook.
Sorry, brother. Sorry, my man. I had to put it out. I had to ask. I had to
He
ask.
tells me every once in a while, but he's me.
Your favorite lowrider?
You know what? Bombs. Anything. We actually have a 1950 Chevy Deluxe.
Mm,
And that's a car that we've been restoring and bringing back, and I absolutely love bombs.
yeah.
I'm
Beautiful.
not, and I say that because like some people don't necessarily like consider like a bomb more of like a different category than like some of your like more traditional lawyers when you think about like an Impala or a
Yeah.
Regal or a
Yeah.
Monty or those kind of.
Right.
So I'm definitely I'm a bombs girl.
Okay. Okay. Appreciate that. Your favorite lowrider oldie?
You know what? Still waters run deep. I love that
Still,
song.
still
And
waters
it's
run
not
deep.
the words are or something, right? When you listen to the lyrics. And I'm one of those people that's like I geek out about lyrics. So
Mm-hmm.
I listen to what the song is saying because the songs that they sing, and then when you stop and you listen to the lyrics and you're like, wait a minute, what are they that's what they're talking about? Oh no. That I love that song, but one of the reasons why I absolutely love that song is the music. The
Mm,
bass line in that song. I mean, when
mm-hmm.
you know, really like start to break it down, because that's what I tell you, I do geek out about certain things. But the music behind that song is so beautiful. I just love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love the melody behind that song too.
Agree. Agree. 100%. Great song. Great song. Okay. Chucks or Nike Cortez?
Oh, no, Chucks.
Okay.
Chucks, 100%. I was never Nike Cortez kind of person. I actually
Hip.
have, I own some Chucks.
I know you did.
I own Chucks.
Hip hop or R&B?
Ooh, that's a hard one. Yeah, I'm gonna do this. 90s hip hop and R&B. Like you can't. I mean, it's that subcategory of 90s hip hop and R&B.
All right.
So
I
that
got you.
era.
I
Yeah.
got you. I got you. AM or PM workouts?
Oh, AM.
AM. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Your
yeah.
go.
I
Your
like to get up and move around.
you like to get up first and get. Okay. Cool. Your go-to comfort food?
Now, and I say that now. I know we'll end up talking about it. We'll end up because we got to go back. Probably like chicharrones.
I love it. I love it. Your favorite movie?
Oh, why would you do that to me? There's too many. There's too many. I love pop culture. I love movies. I love music. And oh, there's so many. Right now, okay, right now, if I was gonna like say something like of this time, like and it's not just like a movie, but the series. I absolutely loved the Harry Potter movies.
Mm,
The whole series. I was a fan. I loved listening to the books. I'm not a big reader, but I listen to audiobooks like crazy.
okay.
So I listened to the Harry Potter books and I loved it. I loved the whole just the magic behind it, the imagination of what, whatever. And I know that's controversial in terms of the author now and everything that has happened since then. I didn't know that when I read the books the first time when they first came out, and I get that. I get it. But I still enjoyed the magic. I still enjoyed the magic.
All
I
right.
don't associate or, condone the author and her opinion,
It's
whatnot,
all
but
good. You enjoy the books. You
I
enjoy the book.
enjoy the
That's what
book.
matters.
Yes, that's the sad part, right? When something like that happens with a piece of art or something that you really
Mm-hmm.
enjoyed, and
Mm-hmm.
then there's a tarnish.
Yep.
And it's like,
Yep.
oh, and
Yeah.
I'm torn. I'm torn. I will say this, and I know another hot take. I do that with R. Kelly. With R. Kelly.
That's a whole other episode. That's a whole
Yes.
other episode. I'm not even gonna go there. I'm not gonna
Okay,
touch it.
but
That's a whole.
that's a hard
No.
one too. Because I love to step in the name of love. I love to step in the name of love. But then
I'm
I,
not.
then I feel guilty about loving and stepping in the name of love.
I'm not gonna touch it. I'm not gonna touch it. That's a whole other episode.
I
Another
know.
topic for
I
another day.
know. Okay. Okay.
So, what is your go-to hype song during a workout? To that point.
Like hype song. Well, I had like there's a Pandora station because I use Pandora. I'm old. I'm old. I don't use Spotify. I still have a Pandora account. And it's a workout station. So they play, it'll be like regular, but they've remixed it so that they're all like hype. So it'll just be like regular songs. And then they just like have totally remixed those songs so that they're more like, EDM, electronic. So they just sound more.
Okay.
But
And
I throw that station on. I throw that station
the
on when,
workout station.
yeah,
Okay.
when I want to work out. Yeah.
And lastly, your next tattoo.
Ooh. Well, I forever. There's a couple of things. So me and my friends have all decided we're gonna do a friend freckle. So I guess it's a
What is
thing.
that? I don't know what that is.
It's a
Please
thing.
explain. I don't know what that is.
So a tattoo, a
Uh-huh.
tiny, tiny tattoo that could look like a freckle on your body. But it could be any shape. We've decided to use a little heart, a little brown heart shape. But it's a tattoo and then everybody gets one. But they're tiny and they're more for like, you and your friends, right? So you all know that you have the same tattoo. But
Hmm.
it's very, it's small. It's small enough to where it just looks like a freckle on your body. Nobody else would really know that it was there except for you and the people that you got it with, right? So it's more about the experience and doing it together. And I have this group of friends. I mean, we've been friends since we were in kindergarten, the same, circle of people.
Mhm.
And, we're going into our 50s and we're still best friends. So we all decided that we're going to do a tattoo freckle.
All right.
That's going to be the next tattoo, but that's not the next tattoo that I want. Like, that's just the next tattoo that, I was like, oh, okay, well, yeah, let's do the freckle thing. Then everybody wants to do that. We can certainly do that. But
That is the next tattoo, though. That is your next tattoo you're getting.
that will be the next tattoo. Yeah.
All right. All right. Well, Amanda, I appreciate that. A little glimpse into who you are on the personal side, allowing the opportunity for our listeners, our viewers to connect with you, get to know you a bit and some of your interests. Híjole, sis, we go back some years.
Yes.
We go back some years to Arizona State University. I believe it was either Mark Tejada or Angel that connected us. I think we were first year students at a Mecha party.
Yeah.
You were wearing the big hoop earrings, red lipstick, your Dickies or something like that. I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, for sure. I know it was, and it was Mark and Angel from that student speakers group that I had been part of, and I met them.
Yeah.
And then, they kind of like, oh yeah, let's and people introduce, right? Oh yeah, come over here,
Yeah.
let's do this, let's party, let's do this, whatever. And
Hmm.
then again through the fraternity with Marcos and
Yeah. And
Chris,
Rudy and Chris. Yeah.
kind of
Hmm.
solidified. Yeah.
Absolutely. But in all seriousness, I know we go back, and I just want to say I appreciate you being a dope sis, hermana, friend for
Oh, thank
so
you.
many years. I mean, undergrad. I mean, we spent time in the DMV in a professional season, been
Right.
educators through and through our entire careers. So just appreciate you, sis. I love you all, and so glad that we get to have this conversation. Thank you, thank you. So
Yeah.
let's jump in. Me and that I'm a huge mental health
Yes.
advocate, wellness, movement enthusiast. I aim, I try to tell gente to get at least 20 minutes a day in, 20 minutes
Right.
of something every day, whatever
Right.
that is, whatever you like, movement, 20 minutes of movement daily. My question is for you is about your wellness and active lifestyle. When did that wellness journey begin for you?
So, okay. So I was thinking about this because I knew this was going to be the conversation that we had. So growing up, I'd always been athletic, very athletic. I came from a pretty athletic family. My mom was actually a very big softball player,
Mm,
to where she was like in a more professional league
mm,
that she was part of, that was like mixed double or like mixed, gender league or whatever. So it was men and women, and she was like pretty professional. They had like their name on their bags and everything. I mean, it was pretty legit. My dad was a cross country runner, and his whole side of his family, they were all cross country
mm,
runners. So I kind of came from a family that was pretty
mm.
active, and on my mom's side they were bigger people, so a lot of my friends played football. They were more
Okay.
like on that side of it. So I was always very active as a kid, and just playing sports. I played every sport that the school had. I was on the track team, I was on the basketball team, I was on the volleyball team, anything that they threw a lot of things at me, just like, hey, yeah, we need you to do this. And so I did it, kind of thing, like, come and be on this team because we need more people on this team. And I'd be like, oh, okay, sure, whatever. And I
Mm,
was lucky that I was athletic like that. I had a little bit of some natural ability, to at least pick things up, and I loved it. One of the biggest things that I absolutely loved was weight training. I used to do that
mm,
in high school. I was very, very much into weight training, and thought, briefly about doing, more competitive, like weight work, kind of,
mm-hmm.
weightlifting, and kind of, but didn't really go down that route. Just kind of stayed with sports and whatnot. So I was able to parlay that experience and
Mm-hmm.
my athleticism into being able to walk on to the ASU women's track team when we were at ASU. And
Mm,
that was a fantastic experience. And I will say it was hard growing up because genetics are a thing. And I come from a family, especially on my mom's side of the family, they were bigger people.
mm-hmm.
So, they just carried weight. And so even throughout that time of my life, I still struggled with weight, just putting on weight and then being able to take it off. Like as soon
Okay.
as a new sporting season, whatever. So I never had like a issue with like, oh my goodness, like what am I going to do, kind of a thing, because I always knew like the next season is going to start, and then whatever, I was going to drop some pounds.
Okay.
And then I was always a weightlifter. I was always weight training, and muscle weighs more than fat. So
Right.
I've always been heavy in terms of the scale. I've
Mm-hmm.
always weighed, a lot. And usually people are really surprised at how much I actually weigh when they see me, just because I carry weight really well.
Mm-hmm.
So, being on the track team at ASU, completely, I mean, that's a D1, like you
Yeah.
are in it, right?
Yeah. That's
So
right. That's right.
the kind of training to do, and I was a thrower,
Mm,
so I didn't run. I was too big for that. Like, even though they had it, kind of had it in me, my dad said something, they were runners. But I just took more my mom's side of the family, so I was very much more muscular and strong. So I was actually able to, turn that into throwing. So I threw the discus, the shot put, and the hammer at ASU. And that was a very different way of working out and
mm-hmm.
weight training. We really did have to bulk up. there was definitely more of that. We were lifting weights for strength and explosive strength, which
Mm-hmm.
is very different from like, just weight training that you might do at home, or,
Yeah.
even if you're just looking to like, get muscle and some tone on your body, that kind of thing. This was more like, we had to build high volumes of mass and then make that mass really, really strong. So, you were doing a very explosive motion all at once. So you needed to be able to have all that power behind you to be able to do the event, right? So did that. And then after I was done with the track team,
Mm-hmm.
that's when I really like reality kind of set in a little bit.
Mm.
I didn't know how to I didn't know how to work out or like exercise
Mm.
without a team. I
Mm.
didn't know how to
Okay.
do that without being in an organized sport, because my entire life
Wow.
had been in organized sports. So it had always been something like I'd always had a weight coach. I'd always had a coach. I'd always had like, like, okay, this is what
Yeah.
we're going to do today. I want you to do 12 reps of this. I want you to do this, those kinds of
Wow.
things.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I was, and then obviously, being at ASU, it was very, very regimented. We had workouts that were set for us. I mean, these people knew our health. They knew our max outs. They
Yeah.
knew all of those things about us. So they put that together, and they gave you a folder, and they're like,
Mm.
here's today's workout, and you followed like, oh, okay, this is the workout for today.
Yeah.
So I never had to do anything on my own. And when I
Gotcha.
left the track team, that was like the end of my like organized sport career. And I did not know how to like really for myself how to put that together. And then not only that, but at the time that I left the track team, I was very big because we had been like working out, we'd been
Mhm.
bulking up. I
Right.
was I was in a physical shape for a very particular skill,
Yeah.
and that wasn't the shape that I wanted to be in anymore. I was like,
Mm.
okay, I need to, it's kind of like a professional wrestler, right? You see them when they're professionally wrestling, and the Rock was huge. He was huge as a wrestler. And now you see him as a actor, and the bulk has shrunk down. You see that like they bring that bulk down. That was me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um and we'll also talk about like what that did to me mentally.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, so that was hard. That was very, very hard. I didn't know how to shrink the mass down.
Wow.
And I feel like that's really when, I kind of got off track with being health, like knowing how to really like be healthy and how to do things
Mm-hmm.
for my body, like my realistic body, not the body that I needed to be able to throw, but just to like my body, my shape, health, just to be healthy and to be at a healthy,
Yeah.
you know, place, weight, all of that. But it took many, many years for me to like kind of rethink and relearn like what did that mean, because I was so competitive. I was
Right.
so competitive. And I still, when I would go to the gym, I was still like hitting weights as if I was on a team. And I was these huge heavy weights, where
Mm-hmm.
we were doing that in the first place to be very strong, but very heavy weight at low reps, to build mass and to
Mm-hmm.
build up that strength, where I didn't need to do that anymore. And so I had to like, and to me, if I had gone down, especially at the time, if I went down in weight, it was like, oh, well, you're not lifting, you
Mm.
should be
Yeah.
lifting 200, 15 pounds, and but, like things like that. So it took a long time for
Wow.
me to be able to let go of that
Wow.
mentality,
Mm-hmm.
to then like, okay, that's I don't need to do that anymore. That's not you. You don't need to do that anymore. You don't need to compete with anybody. You're not competing with anyone. You're not
Yeah.
competing in the sport. You just need to learn how to be healthy. So that mass turned into fat.
Mm.
That mass had turned into fat, and it was very hard afterwards for me to lose that. And I did at that time, because then I was in like early 20s,
Mm-hmm.
had to like I went and like, okay, I don't know how to do this on my own. I need to find somebody that can help me. And then, like had to relearn. And I credit,
Yeah.
oh geez, I wish I could remember his name. He was a trainer at the gym, and he was a nice guy. And he was just like, okay, because I told him my story. I was like, okay, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know what I'm doing anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I did. I thought I knew like how to do this, but I don't. And I'm not
Wow.
comfortable with where I'm at.
Yeah.
And so he was like, okay. He's like, no, I'll help you. I'll show you. And he did. He showed me things like Pilates. Never done Pilates in my life. At that point, he showed me how to do like some Pilates exercises. He was like, let's do some just body weight workouts for you. We need to lean, let's lean out some of the muscle mass. As if you don't need all of that bulk anymore, you're not doing those kinds of things anymore. Let's figure out where you want to be, and then I'll so that guy really helped me out a lot, because that then like helped me to realize.
How old were you really around that?
Probably like 23. I was in my early 20s.
Okay.
23, 24, like right around there.
Okay.
And that definitely, so working out with that help, I lost a ton of the mass, and was felt much, much more comfortable in my skin, just because I just wasn't carrying all of that weight anymore. But that was like the first, right? And this is the thing, and all your, female listeners, especially female listeners of a certain age, I hope, you can kind of resonate with this, but that was just the first, right? The first curve. This is going to go up and down until
that's the theme I'm noticing. Yes.
Up and down until we reach this last year. Because that's just, I can't even tell you like exactly why. It's things I think we just kind of go through in our life. It's the stuff we're going through. It's, we get comfortable. It's like, oh yeah, I'm doing great. And then maybe miss a workout here and there. And oh well, that's all right. I can eat this for now and it'll be fine. And me too, especially in my 20s. I'm like, oh no, I can take this weight off. Now I know how I can take this weight off. It's not a big deal. And I was able to, in my 20s, I was able to kind of like, oh yeah, if I gained some weight, I was able to work out and it would come off, and I could kind of regulate it a little bit better. And it wasn't until I started to get more, into my late 20s, early 30s, then into the 30s, where it was like, okay, my body is completely changed. This isn't working the way that it used to. And that's why I say genetics is a big thing, because the older I got, the more I could see, like, just physically, like I was looking more and more like how my family was looking, right? So it was like, oh, okay, these genes are strong. We're like, this is the progression, right, in our family. So this is kind of like what this looks like. So I was like, oh, okay, I need to, for me, I don't necessarily want to carry that weight like that. And I saw my moms, my aunts, and everybody, and that's the other thing too, as Latinos, in the community, we eat, but everybody, it's always like, oh, are you hungry? We have, I always love my favorite meal. I tell people all the time, if I was gonna like eat anything, it was always like my mom's sopita, refried beans with cheese and a tortilla. She used to make that for me whenever I wanted it. So that was always my favorite thing to make, but it was snow-capped manteca that she put in those beans, and that's why they tasted so good. And it was like half a brick of cheese that went in those beans, and that's why it tasted so good. And then the sopita is all pasta and carbs and all of the sodium and everything that goes into that meal to make it taste that way, and that's why it tasted so good. And then you throw that with tortillas, and then I'm gonna eat that with tortillas, so I'm gonna eat like 2 tortillas with that. So yeah, like when that's your comfort food, when those are the foods that
my goodness
we're eating, that was the hard part, right? And then growing up, you're gorda. That's your name. Your name is gorda. So I had 2. I was either like, my grandma called me negra, and then my aunt, uncles, and everybody else called me gorda. That was like, okay, yeah, because I'm chubby, I'm thick. That's who you are.
Right.
Like,
that's right.
Like, okay, that's who I am. And that's why I was saying, like, as you kind of go through that, you kind of get used to like, oh, okay, I guess this is who I am. This is what it's going to look like. This is who I'm going to be or whatever. And then you kind of have to like, oh, well, I'm not comfortable like this. I don't, I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel healthy. I don't feel like right in my skin. And that's, like going into my 30s.
Well, you realize that in your 20s.
Oh yeah.
You realize that felt good.
Yes, I was already starting to feel it, and that's why I said, like, especially, like you go through it's that up and down. It's the roller coaster of weight. And I say that too because even back then, A friend of mine, I'm sure a lot of people call it this, but she was talking about food noise. She's like, it's the food
Mm.
noise in your head. Even back then, like I didn't have a term for it. I had that food noise in my head. Are you
Mm.
hungry? Are you bored? Oh, I want something sweet. Oh, I kind
Mm-hmm.
of want something, but I don't know what I want. I want a snack. I want to, and you're constantly in your head. This is what, like in the back of my head, I'm always saying, I'm always having this conversation with myself. And you're constantly thinking about food in some way, shape, or form. Not that like, oh, I'm not dreaming about hamburgers and hot dogs and donuts and cakes
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But there is a voice that you're constantly talking about food in your head, and
Mm.
and good and bad, because especially like being on the track team, I had to eat. I needed the calories. I
Yeah.
had to eat big, and they were, like we had creatine, and we had like all kinds of different like protein that they wanted us to eat, like powders and shakes that they wanted us to drink, and it was to keep the mass. And so like for me, it was like, oh shoot, I need to eat. I need to eat, because I
Mm.
needed the calories for the workout. I needed the bulk, all of that. So even in like when it's even productive, you still have the food noise in your head, like,
Mm-hmm.
oh shoot,
Mm-hmm.
you need to eat, or you need to do this, you need to do that. So, and then it's bad too, because then it's like, you're not hungry, quit being fat like that. I'd always say that in my head, like, quit being fat, you're not
Mm.
hungry, you're just
Mm.
bored, like. And I had to like remind myself, and even and those were kind of like the struggles that I would have, is like, are you hungry, or are you bored, or are you
Wow.
nervous, are you
Yeah.
something, because it was just like, oh, I want something, I want candy, or I want chips, or I want, so like, okay, why do you want, are you hungry? No, I'm not
So
really.
even to that point, Elena, I mean, when you were having this food noise, it wasn't. They were cravings, not necessarily. I mean, you weren't reaching for an apple. You weren't reaching for a salad. You weren't.
No,
You were
oh
reaching
God,
for
no, no,
right. It was
no. It wasn't, yeah, exactly. It wasn't anything healthy. It wasn't like, oh, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna eat some grapes, or I'm gonna eat, I'm gonna
yeah.
get me some carrot sticks and hummus. No, it
Yeah.
wasn't that.
Mm.
It was all the junk food. It was
Mm-hmm.
everything, that tasted good.
Yeah.
It was like you want something sweet and salty, or you eat something sweet and then you're like, oh, I need something salty to balance this out. Or
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? So there's that. Or like and even like with different partners throughout my lifetime, right? Like I was with somebody that had to have dessert with dinner. And no
Wow.
matter what, like it was just the way that he grew up with his family. They always had like a dessert, something sweet after they ate. And I kind of fell into that habit too. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, that sounds like fun. Let's Sure, dessert after dinner. That sounds great. Okay, like, what's the sweet? What's the dessert today? Like, what do you got for sweet? Like that's, and then so you get into those habits, and it was like, oh, okay. Over time,
Mm.
that just kind of became like the thing, and I wasn't necessarily staying on top of workouts, and you get into your daily routines, and you kind of
Wow.
fall off. And then
Yeah.
I get myself like super motivated, and it's like, okay, and then I really need it. Let's get a handle on this, and then start,
Mm-hmm.
start again. And I started doing all kinds of different things. Working out again, going to the gym, I have my gym memberships, which I liked, but I found for me that I think that the upbringing of being on a organized, like a team, helped me out more than just trying to go into the gym by myself.
Yeah. That's what I hear.
So
Yeah. That's what I
yeah.
hear.
So for me, the classes were great. I started
Mm.
going to, like I would find like, oh, okay, let me join some of these HIIT classes, high intensity interval training. And I loved it. And then just having the camaraderie of the other people
Mm.
in those classes with me, that was like gave me kind of like that sense of team that I used to have, that's kind of like how I associated activity
Yeah.
growing up, and just being on different organized sports teams. It was kind of like, oh, okay, I kind of found like a little team
Mm-hmm.
again that I can be a part of. And I feel like that, had I not like kind of fell into some of those classes that way, I don't know that I would have continued working out on a regular basis
Mm.
throughout that time, especially like in my 30s, because it
Mm-hmm.
was, like work, and and everything else, and working on, like doing artwork. And that's another thing too. And I tell people this all the time, the artwork is a very solitary hobby. This is not a social hobby. This is not um, it's not an active hobby. This isn't like a passion where, you're going to be like hiking. And I love hiking, by the way. Absolutely. That's one of the things also that I think really saved me in terms of
Mm.
keeping some kind of activity. I love just going somewhere and just walking. I love to hike out in the desert. I love to just, like just go on a walk, So that same thing. I tell people just walk for 20 minutes somewhere. It doesn't matter
Mm-hmm.
where you go, just walk
Mm-hmm.
somewhere. But this is when I focusing on my artwork, that's where I'm at. Right there at
Mm.
that table, in this chair, hunched over that table for hours. And if I really am into whatever it is that I'm doing, like I'm really focused in on the piece that I'm working on, whatever, it can be hours that I'm just sitting there.
Mm.
And then I also have a sedentary job. I work in higher education. I'm in an office at my desk. So, 8 hours, 9 hours a day, I'm in an office at my desk. And then if I come home at night and I'm working on something, I'm now, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours at this table.
Wow.
So though that kind, like that kind of stuff, balancing it out, I have to
Yeah.
remind myself, you need to get up. You need to get up and walk. And
Mm.
I really try not to get after myself, because I feel like that's also one of those things that we do, is get mad at ourselves for not doing it, or for not,
Yeah.
like, hey, some days you're not going to be able to.
Mm-hmm.
There are lots of days where, it's like, oh shoot, I just haven't, today has just been a busy day and did not, get to work out, do like a formal workout, or, go on a walk or anything like that. And that's okay. That's
Mm-hmm.
okay. And I
Mm-hmm.
think, again, the years experience, and, kind of coming to this point in my life, like I've made peace with, like, yeah, it's not going to happen every day, but over time, all of that, when you do get it in, and when you are able to, have like a really good workout, and you're focusing in more on your food and what it is you're eating and how you're
Right.
eating and the ingredients that you're putting in your body, all of that adds up, and that creates a healthy
That's
lifestyle.
right.
That creates a healthier you, right? And so it is a balance, but I don't beat myself up when I'm kind of out of balance
Mm-hmm.
with one thing or another. And I think that also took a lot of time, because I used to get after myself a lot. Like when I say, like, the food noise would just be like, you were lazy today. You should have
Mm.
this. You should have, and I'd get after myself.
You shit on yourself a lot, huh? You shit
Yeah.
on
Oh
yourself a lot.
yeah. Just getting mad. Just, like, oh, why are you being so lazy today? Like,
Yeah.
like, and I would say that to myself all the time, which again is just kind of like those things that you kind of like, what, oh, you were being so fat today. Like, you were being so
Mm.
fat today. Like, and so you
Mm.
tell yourself that, right? So you tell
Yeah. No.
yourself those things, and that does tear you
Oh my
down.
goodness. It
And
absolutely
you do,
does.
like,
Absolutely
you get
does.
down on yourself, and
Mm-hmm.
you're the one who's doing it. Nobody had the nerve to come to my face and you that. Like, oh, you're really gonna eat that? Okay. All right, go to that. Go ahead. Put that, Susie Q in your mouth. Go ahead. Like, nobody was ever doing that. It was me doing it to myself.
Yeah, you were fat shaming yourself. You were fat
Yes,
shaming yourself.
yes,
Yeah.
100%. Because nobody ever, I don't think anybody dared to do that. They were too afraid.
Oh, but what I
Yeah.
hear you say, I mean, this wellness journey, your wellness journey has been quintessentially just that, a journey. I mean,
Yes.
we're exposed to it at an early age, Elena. I mean,
Oh
so
yeah.
many of us that were not, you had both parents who were active. You came
We're active.
from
Yeah, they were
families
active.
that were
Yeah.
athletes, to your point. So you were exposed early on. And you had mentioned that they put you in activities. They put you in
Yeah.
everything.
Oh yeah.
Volleyball, softball,
Yeah.
track, whatever the sport of the season was. So you
Yeah.
were building that at an early age. And then you liked the competitiveness, to your point, and
Yes.
fell in love with this D1 athletics at a
Mhm.
major research institution. Like, you played for this school. And, but I think you had to relearn what it meant around your own wellness outside of competitive
Yes.
sports,
Exactly.
which you had
Exactly.
never done before. You had
Right.
never done. You're like, what the, whoa,
Yeah.
what am
Yeah.
I doing? What happens now?
Yeah.
And
100%. Without
that's
having
what
a coach tell me what to do, I didn't know really what to do. And
mm-hmm.
then, but the only things that I knew how to do were the stuff that I was doing for the team.
Mm.
And that wasn't serving my purpose. That wasn't serving me in like a healthy way, in terms of like being healthy. and
Right.
being
You were bulking. You were
yes,
getting strong for the sport.
yes. I was, and I tell you, like back in the day, like I could leg press, double leg for both legs, whatever. But I was like 600 some pounds
Oh
because
my
you're
goodness.
like super, super strong. And
Oh
that's no
my
joke.
goodness.
Like we were pressing weight. Like that was like huge. I obviously couldn't do that. It was like once or twice. But we were
You
pressing
did
some
it.
like big weight, right? And we were, like that's the way that we were working out because
Mhm.
it was the competitive, it was to like
Mm.
really bulk up. It was to be super, super strong for a very specific reason. But that's all I knew. And so coming out of that, like I didn't know, like, oh yeah, lower weight, longer reps,
Mhm.
doing, and then the specific exercises for like different areas, because we were
Yeah.
very focused on like very specific muscle groups because those are the muscle groups that we were using for the sport.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, it definitely was a journey to relearn those things, to figure out like what was right for me and my body, what was, what fit into my lifestyle. And that was the other thing too. It was like,
Yeah.
okay, there's been so many different iterations of me. And then I had to, like,
Right.
how do you
Right.
fit those things in there? You want to be all things to everybody. And so
Yeah.
you have to learn how to like, oh, okay, like how do I get that in?
Mhm.
You know?
Mhm. No, I love that point you say that because I think that's the beauty of growing old and becoming wise is that there are multiple iterations of us. We continue to evolve. We're
Right.
becoming more intelligent, more wise in our age, call it which what it is, but
Yeah.
we are different than what we were in our 20s, in our 30s, approaching the last few years of our 40s. We're most
Oh yeah.
certainly different, but I love the fact that you're pointing out that how you're prioritizing your wellness again. You are
Right.
relearning yet
Yes.
again, right?
Yes.
You had these
Yes.
stages of your wellness journey, but you're
Right.
relearning yet again. You're giving yourself grace, which something I'm better at. I need to do better at and giving
Right.
myself grace, but I do, like you mentioned, I shit on myself all the time.
Yeah.
And I need to give myself grace when I don't, something doesn't go as planned, whatever that
Right.
is, the workout, the run, the cycle, whatever it is, I need to give myself grace and it's
Yeah.
okay. I'm trying to do that. I'm out here trying
Right.
to accomplish this feat. But that's something that I appreciate again, that you say that we are at multiple iterations of our life and we have to remind ourselves that we
Yeah.
should not be stagnant. We should not be that same person that we were in our 20s, in our 30s. We
And you
should be
can't
able to.
be. You can't be.
No.
And that's definitely, I think that's something, as people, like that's something that we have to be okay with. And like, you're saying like give yourself grace in the that you're not like I wasn't the way I was when I was in my 20s, when I got into my 30s. And I had to learn that and be okay with it and then come, like you do. And it's just like anything else, right? As we kind of go through these cycles of our
Yeah.
lifetime, as we
Yeah.
start to get older, now I'm squarely in middle age, right? So now I can say I'm a middle-aged woman and I have to come, and now I'm coming to grips with what does that mean?
Right.
Who am I as a middle-aged person? And who am I physically, mentally, professionally as this middle-aged person? Where that was not, obviously that wasn't me in the 20s. I
Right.
could do different things in the 20s and not worry about it. I could drink and not worry about it. Like, those kinds of things. Whereas now, and the stage that I'm in now, this was definitely um, probably the biggest like wake up call I think that I've had in it
Mm.
yet. Right? Like up until this point, it's been like, oh, okay, we need to get a grip on this. We need to like focus in. Like, let's really, uh, just for me in terms of like health wise, like let's see. And I've never been like one to just have like a crap diet. Never been one to have like a super crappy diet. I always knew like, yeah, we got to eat. You got to eat healthy, and you do. And I had looked that up too, especially kind of like coming away from being in an organized sporting team, trying to figure out like, okay, what should I be doing for myself? So I had
Mhm.
done a little bit of research. So it wasn't like I was completely like, I have no idea what a green thing is. I know what salads are. I know what vegetables are. I know what it means to eat clean, those kinds of things. Now, do you do it? Not always. I mean, it's very
Yeah.
tempting to not, and especially as you start to get older, and it's sometimes convenience wins out over all of that, right? So you
Hmm.
don't always have time to make dinner. You don't always have to, like there's just you got to get to work, so it's like, all right, let me just grab whatever, and a lot of times that's when I feel like okay, I ate really crappy, I really just didn't hit the mark where I wanted to hit. It's because I didn't take the time to prepare myself for it. So I just grabbed whatever. And those are the times where it's like that's where it hits me the most is when it comes to convenience. So I have learned over the years that I need to make my food convenient. So healthy food has to be convenient for me.
Hmm.
So I do have to meal prep. I do have to like prepare like things so that during the week when I'm getting ready to go to work, I can grab things out of the refrigerator that I've already prepped, put in, little containers, whatever, so I
Mm.
can grab it out of there, throw it into my bag, and then, hit the road so I can get to work. So for me, if I don't do that, that's when it's like, ah, crap, I'll just run and get something, and it's like, all right, well, you can't necessarily do that anymore.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Let me
So
ask you this. I
yeah,
appreciate that point because I mean you're making good decisions now.
right,
You're understanding that what you need to do to make better decisions for not only nutrition but how you ultimately feel throughout the day. I
right.
mean, you're
Oh
trying to
yeah,
balance it all. You're trying to balance the cooking, the professional, the partnership. You're trying to balance your health and wellness. Also, what's going to give? And you've identified those points like, okay, if I don't meal prep, I know I'm going to end up eating out. I'm going to try to
right.
eliminate that. So let me try to do my part in prepping accordingly. So I'm making
Yeah,
the appropriate decision. And you mentioned, and that's something that I want to come back to. You mentioned this notion of balance that you're okay if you do miss a workout or hey, I ran out of
mhm,
time today because life is life.
yeah,
And you talked about something giving, but you're still prioritizing your health and mental health
right.
and
Yes.
day to day. How do you keep it all moving, Elena? How do you keep? I mean, you mentioned you're okay with that. If I
Yeah.
miss a day, I miss a day. Cool. But you're still prioritizing it throughout the day, throughout the week. How do you keep that all moving?
So I think for me, it's understanding. I had to understand what what was it that I wanted for myself. Is it a certain weight? Is it a certain look? Right. And I think everybody needs to like define that for themselves.
Mm.
So for me now, it was I wanted to be healthy. I didn't care so much what the scale said. Wasn't so much, I wasn't like, I think in my, earlier years, yeah, that was, obviously, I think we all kind of go through that where we're like, oh my gosh, I got to be this weight. I got to look this way. And for me, especially as I started to get older, it was more, I just want to be comfortable. I just want to be comfortable with who I am. I want to be comfortable in my skin. I want to be comfortable with, the way that I feel every day. I don't want to feel like
Mm.
shit every day when I wake up. And, like I don't want to feel bloated or tired or exhausted. And I think that kind of one thing that definitely helped me to kind of come to where I'm at now is so that's why I'm okay with, well, if I don't, that's okay. Obviously we don't want to make that the habit, right? We don't want to make like, okay, you're never prioritizing your activity. You need that. Your body needs it. And I think, like for me, if I go too long without like being active or doing something, I feel it. You can feel it, and you're just like, oh, I need to walk. I need to go do something.
Yeah.
You start to, your body knows, and you get into those habits. You start to feel that. But I definitely have to, and this is hard. This is hard, and I don't know if it's. I think it's a lot of females. I don't know if it's Latina females, whatever, but it's hard sometimes to prioritize yourself over others.
Mm.
So, especially me, and I have to say that in my relationships with my partners, it's like, okay, yes, I want to come home, I want to make dinner, I want to make sure that, like I take care of everything here at the house and we're good and all of that stuff. But then I also have to make sure that I'm taking some time like for me where it's like, okay, he doesn't have to work out every day. He doesn't have to do that. And he's, like for him, his hit
Yeah.
again, we're all individuals and our journey looks different. He works at like his work is very active. So he's constantly, like walking all day long. He's constantly on his feet. He does maintenance and he's like up, down ladders. He's carrying things. So he gets a lot of activity just from his job alone, which is great because then he doesn't necessarily have to come home and, look at his rings on his watch and see if he's got to get that activity ring. He got the activity ring throughout the day because he's on his feet all day long, moving around and doing stuff. He's wrenching on things, so he's using his muscles. So what his activity level looks like is very different from what mine does, being that I have a sedentary job. So for me, like I have to sometimes be like, all right, it would be so nice and lovely to be able to sit down every night and, oh, let's watch this show and let's do and sit down on the couch and snuggle with him and, like whenever we eat dinner and I have to and I told him and I tell him that it's okay, because that's another thing that's also can be very sensitive to some people. But I tell him like, hey, I don't mind if you tell me like, hey, I thought you were gonna go work out today. I thought you said you were gonna work out at like 7. I'm like, yep. Oh, you're right. You're right. I am, and I need to because sometimes I don't do it for me. Like there's plenty of days where like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna go work out in my room. And I go and I have my little setup and run through my little 30-minute workout, do some weight work and just, body weight work and feel great afterwards, jump in the shower, it's great. And there are other days where I'm just like sitting on the couch and, he's like, well, were you going to work out today or were you not going to work out today? And I could, there's some days where I'm just like, oh, I'm tired, man. I really, okay, well, then don't. Like, yeah, it's okay. Those are the days where it's like, all right, if you really are like, man, I'm just wiped. All right, go to bed early, get some rest. And that's your body telling you that you need rest. And that's okay.
Yeah.
But you have to prioritize some time for yourself and make sure that, and it is hard because it's like, all right, I got work. I'm going to come home and make dinner. I'm going to do that, but you have to do those things for yourself. And it's okay that you're not paying attention to your partner, or it's okay if some days you don't make dinner because it's like, hey, you know what? Tonight, there's leftovers. Go ahead, I'm just gonna heat that up. If you're hungry, there's some stuff.
Yeah.
You got, I don't know, heat yourself something up, or you know what? I'm gonna grab a salad on the way home. Do you want something? Because I don't feel like cooking today. And instead of, so you do. There are days where you trade those things off, and that's okay. You're not hurting anyone. You're not hurting your relationship. You're not, whatever. But I think again, that's another one where it took me a lot of time to come to that realization where it's all right if my partner is not my number one priority the minute I walk, through the door when I come home. It's okay for me to have, like I'm going to be the priority for the next 30 minutes and I'm going to do this for me because it makes me feel good. It makes my body feel good. It, it gets all that, any stress I might be holding on to, I'm going to use that energy during this workout or, the walk or whatever it is that you decide to do.
So I love the fact of how you brought prioritization into the conversation and how you really tied in both the physical health as well as the mental health. I mean, you spoke to earlier, Elena, about the joy that your art brings you and the significance of how that is a mental wellness practice for you. And I believe it's something I speak about a lot. We just do not prioritize joy enough, especially as brown people, especially as Latinos. I know it's a very privileged statement. As an educator, I have that luxury to prioritize things that bring me joy. I get that. My parents, my elders, my grandparents, they did not.
Right.
Coming from blue collar, working class roots, they did not have those luxuries to prioritize joy. We do, and I own that privilege. And we just do not do it enough today, and the necessity behind that. And you've identified that in your art. Can you talk about that a bit more?
Oh yeah, sure. So, and I, you know what, 100% completely agree with you because I say that to people, when they're like, oh well, you get to sit down and draw, like I know I do. I worked hard to get to be at this point in my life where I can take that time to be able to. But I also, and what I stress with my students, what I stress with other people who ask me like, how do you do those things? And I tell it one, and it is, and I will say this, I will throw out the caveat because that is also one of those things I think that has to be taken in consideration when you have kids or don't have kids. It is a struggle, because you have another human being in your household that needs
Mhm.
you and your time and attention. And sometimes for parents, it is harder. It is harder. I'm not gonna lie. It is harder to find those times to be able to balance out the other things that you might have a passion for with, like, I still have to take care of my son and daughter. I still have to take care of my kids. I still have to make sure that their homework is done, that they're taken care of, like those kinds of things. And then finding the time to be able to do that. I do not have children. And I know, like, it can be a little bit, like, yeah, I don't have to come home and take care of kids. I come home and take care of my partner, and and we're good, and he's an adult and he can take care of himself. So, I prioritize our relationship, but then I can focus my time on myself, on my improvement, on things that I have that are my passion.
Mm.
So I do throw that out there because I know that it is hard, and I would never lessen the struggle that parents go through trying to balance that out, because that's another thing that they're balancing out in their life, and that's huge. That is a huge priority. So when like, if we look at all of that, right, you still have to though. You still have to. And I know that's hard to say, but you do need, mommy needs her time. So you need to figure out like when you can take it, even if it's like, even if it's 10 minutes of time, even if it's 15 minutes, even if it's 5
Mhm.
minutes, and then be able to take that time to do something. Now, even if it's a hobby, if it's a passion, if it's like just, getting on a treadmill, or even just like walking in place, even if it's just doing something just to kind of like get the energy out, give you like some movement, even if you're just doing some stretches, whatever,
Mhm.
you please do find that time to be able to do that for yourself, because it does make a big difference. My artwork, yes, is a outlet. It has always been an
Mm.
outlet. Once I started getting into it, it really became something that I absolutely loved doing, and then loved being able to draw on my experience, on my culture, on the things that I saw every day, and then the things that I studied in college. My undergraduate degree is in anthropology, and then my emphasis was in Mesoamerican history and culture. So one of the things that I absolutely gravitated towards was just it was the Mayan uh, process of writing, Mayan hieroglyphical writing. And
Mm.
that's really what got me, because in one of the classes that I took, it was a section, it was just really a section of a class that I was taking. And we had to draw out like some of the glyphs, and, it was just part of, what we were doing in that class. But I absolutely loved it. And it just was like really, really fascinated with, it's a form of writing where it's symbolic. So, it's a symbol, the logogram. So it's a picture that means a sound, right? Or that conveys like a whole phrase or a word.
Mhm.
But what I loved about it was the artist, or the writer, the scribe, had artistic license within that.
Mm.
So even though there may have been like, let's say it's a tree, right? That tree means Elena. Whoever is drawing, writing, the artist doing that tree has artistic license to make that tree however they
Mm.
see it in their head, like a different artistic, but as long as the elements are there, it's still the same. So it could vary, but
Mhm.
as long as the elements of that logogram was there, it still meant Elena. It still was that, that tree was still meant Elena. But you could, and so I love that. I was like, oh, that is so cool. Like, you can put your own spin, even though, like, for us, the alphabet is A, B, C, D, D. You write it the same way. It's like, okay, maybe handwriting is a little bit different just because people's handwritings are different, or
Mhm.
font. It would be like, being an artist and, like, using different fonts all the time to like write something out, and it could be like completely different and elaborate, and so I absolutely love that. And that's kind of what drew me into,
Mm.
because I gravitate more towards Mayan artwork. And so using that, like drawing on that, is where I started with my artwork. I started to pull in a lot of Mayan iconography, and just using like that along with just you know the experiences that I had in my life, and kind of putting those things together, and sharing that, right? So all kinds of, and I have all kinds of different influences. Obviously, like Frida Kahlo, everybody loves Frida Kahlo, and like her artwork is crazy. But I also love illustrators. So that was also something that it's one of those things where I guess like it was always there, but I never really developed it until I got into my 20s. But I
Mm.
loved animation. I loved like cartoon animation and
Mm-hmm.
illustration. That kind of stuff. I love to see like different, you could tell, like you could always tell the artists or like a certain way that something got drawn every single time. You knew it was like this illustrator that did it. Quentin Blake is an artist that I absolutely love. For those people who are familiar with Roald Dahl's books, which was like James and
Mm-hmm.
the Giant Peach,
Mm-hmm.
those books, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, all of those books. The artist who drew the illustrations for his books, his name
Mm-hmm.
was Quentin Blake, has a very, very like specific way of drawing, and you know that that's his artwork. And I absolutely love it because it's messy. It's messy. It's not neat. It's not polished. It's not, like what you think of necessarily like it's not computer generated, neat and clean and all these clean lines and looks really polished, whatever. No, it looks like somebody drew it. And
Mm.
that's, like the stuff that I used to love. All the old Disney animated movies, the really old ones. I love those because the animation had character and depth. CGI is great, and it's awesome now. You see it, but there is just something to those original movies that were hand drawn. You have expression in the face. You have all of this like wonderful detail that you can get out of hand drawn artwork, and those are the things that for me that's what's important now in my artwork. I use that a lot. My work is hand drawn.
Mm.
And I've had lots of people ask me, like, are you ever going to start doing like digital artwork,
Mm-hmm.
or using, the computer? Because you can still draw on a digital pad and it's still your drawing, but the computer is cleaning it up for you, and it's making it
Okay.
very polished and it's great. But I don't want that to be my art. I just don't like, for me, I want to see all the imperfections. I want to see, all of the curved line and it's not going to
Yeah.
be 100% perfect. I love that because it's part of the artistic expression.
Mm.
So, I tell people all the time, my artwork is always hand drawn. It's me sitting at this freaking table for hours at a time, with every, drawings are just like lines and dots, just millions of lines and dots, right? So that's me doing that over and over and over again to create, a picture. That is not behind me. That's a photograph. I'm drawing on top of the photograph. So I don't want people to think like, oh my God, her work is crazy. No, that's a photograph that my partner took and I'm drawing on top of it. But so that's not what my art was like. But for me that's important. and
Yeah.
and I also have people ask me a lot of times, like, are you going to make any prints like of your work,
Mm.
so copies of it. And for the longest time that was a thing I was trying to do, like, okay, let me make some prints so I can, like, I can sell the print and all of this. But I don't, for whatever reason, it never happened, right? I never
Mm.
got to, like, I found
Okay.
a printer where I could make, where I was comfortable having them make prints of my work. And now I kind of gotten to the idea where I don't want to. So
Okay.
now, like, because I draw all the time, like I draw different things all the time. I have like an inventory of drawings, and whenever I sell something, I always tell people they're originals. I don't make prints of my work. So this is it. Like this picture that you're seeing right now is the only picture that I'm gonna put out there. I will make stickers. I've made stickers in the past of my work. I
Bring them
don't like
back. Bring them
stickers.
back. Bring them
Yeah, I
back.
was gonna say stickers. I don't mind. Like, I'll make it's something small. Whatever. I don't mind that. But in terms of like the actual pieces, the drawings, I've decided I'm not gonna try to make prints of them and sell them. I'll
Yeah.
just, like, these are one-off things. So if you buy it, you're the only one who has it.
So
So,
real quick, where can folks find you? What's the
oh
name?
yeah, so I'm on Instagram.
What's your artist name?
If yeah, if you wanted to see like my artwork, I'm at nen underscore art underscore az. Um, and yeah, that's basically it. Like, I'm not like very
NEN, right?
NEN,
NEN.
yes.
Then
Nen
okay.
at or underscore art ART at underscore AZ. Geez Louise. But I'm not all over all kinds of different platforms or anything. It's just that's my
Follow her. Go check her out. Yeah,
yeah, and
please do.
message me, please feel free. I tell people all the time, and I put it out there on my page, and things that I'm doing. You see me out, feel free to say hello. I mean, I love to meet people and talk to people.
Yes.
Message me. I love to interact. If there's, any questions that you have or whatever.
And I want to give you a shout out because for the inaugural Phoenix Marathon weekend, you and your partner Richard, y'all came and supported. Y'all set up a station at the post marathon, half marathon after
Yeah,
party
that was
at
cool.
Sana Cerveceria, and y'all were showing off your art. Richard was taking some pictures. Y'all were just the true Renaissance couple. And
Oh,
I
thank
want to
you.
say thank you all for coming out and support the Movement Es Medicina community.
Of
So y'all
course,
are
of
out there
course. No,
doing
it
your
was a
thing.
good
It
time.
was a great
I
time.
hope yeah, I was gonna say, hopefully we'll see that again next year
Yeah.
when you guys
Yeah.
come through
Yeah.
again. But yeah, we
Absolutely.
had a great time. And then
It
I
was
love
cool.
doing stuff like that. And that's why I tell people if you see me out like at an event or whatever, because I'll every so often, I'll do something where it might be live drawing. And it's not, it's not like the people who do like the live painting where they got the big paints or they're doing like the spray painting and all that. It's a little
Mhm.
bit more intimate. Please come over and say hi. You're not bothering me. That's what I'm there for. I feel like sometimes people just are like, oh, they're because even there, people are like, oh, I didn't want to bother you. I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm here for. Like, I'm just drawing in between, like talking to people. Like the
Right.
drawing is just what I'm doing, to pass the time. Like it's really the people that I love being able to sit there and talk to and whatnot. But
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, it was a great time. And Elena, I want to transition a bit and ask you, you may have seen me use or heard me say, recuerda tu your porqué, remember your why. And you've alluded a bit, you've shared some of that,
yeah,
a bit of your why, but I want you to go a little deeper. Why do you decide to show up this chapter of your life? Why do you work out? Why do you hike? Why are you focusing on nutrition? Why are
right.
you focusing on 30 minutes a day to get some movement in? Recuerda tu por qué. Can you share with us your
Yeah.
why?
Yeah, 100%. So, like I was saying before, like you go through iterations of your life, right? And
Mhm.
there's just different times. Um, this point in time, like I was saying before, now I'm middle aged. I'm a middle aged woman, and with that comes changes, right? We all know it. It comes for all of us, and it came for me in a hard way, man, a hard way. So about a year ago, well, you know what? Let's say about 2 years, prior, like all of a sudden, like things just started to change for me. I was putting on like weight,
Mm.
and okay, fine, that happens. But I also started to notice just like a change in me altogether. Right. I was tired every day. I was exhausted. I'd come home and, I have a sedentary job. But yeah, and yes, it doesn't mean that that isn't stressful and exhausting and whatnot. But I was coming home where, before come home, work out, do things, around the house, whatever. I was coming home and cook dinner and all I wanted to do was sit on the couch or go to bed. Like I was just coming home exhausted. And I started to, I was putting weight on and I kept thinking like, oh, great, like I'm at that point in life, then you start
Mhm.
thinking about perimenopause and menopause because these are the things that we have to think about as females as we come into middle age. And so I was like, man, that must be the thing that I'm going through.
Mm.
And so I started to like, okay, I need to figure out what's going on with me now, right? And trying to figure out like what this was. And for me, it was little things that started to add up that really changed, like turned into like why did I like really now come to like this turning point in my health journey.
Mhm.
Um, like I started to feel tight. I just like my skin felt tight. I didn't feel comfortable in my skin. Physically didn't feel comfortable. My hands were swollen, my legs were swollen. Like just there was a huge change.
Mm.
And then constantly being exhausted and tired and just feeling, just so beat. And then it started to like really mess with my motivation. I didn't want to do anything anymore. And I would always have been an active person. My entire life I've been an active person doing something. The kind of person that just felt like if I didn't do anything, I was wasting time. I've always been that kind of person. Like if I wasn't moving around, if I wasn't, if I didn't clean, do laundry, at least do something,
Mm-hmm.
I was wasting time. And to the point where I was just like, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to go anywhere. I don't want to
Mm.
do it, be around people. I don't want to, whatever. I was just kind of like, everything was kind of like closing in on myself. And I wouldn't necessarily say like depression, but I will say there was a lack. My motivation was just like dwindling, right, to nothing. And Richard and I, we had gotten engaged, and we were, like going through like all of that. I was going through planning a wedding and all of this.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I was like feeling was this, mind you, up until this point, we've been together for 9 years prior to actually getting engaged and deciding like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, let's get married. So we've been together for a while. And then I was not the person that I was when we got together. At this point, the person that I was about 2 years ago was not the same person. And not that that's a bad thing, because we all change, right? That's how we grow as people. We're not always going to be the same people. But I felt like I was fundamentally not the same person anymore. And I didn't like that. I didn't like that. And I did not want to go into this marriage feeling this way.
Mm.
I didn't want that. I didn't want that for our marriage. I didn't want to feel like, just blah. Like I started to feel like I was just existing and I wasn't living. And that is one of the things that I think for me, I've always had like not necessarily like a fear of, but just like I don't ever want to be the type of person that just exists. I want to be somebody who actually lives a life.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to like make a change. I started going to the doctor. I started going to my primary care first and just like, hey, doc, this is what I'm feeling. And I will say this especially for women who are going through this stage in life, you have to advocate for yourself. You have
Yes.
to
Yes.
100% advocate
Yes.
for yourself when it comes to
Yes.
your health,
Yes.
because I was so disenchanted with
Mm.
primary care.
Mm.
Because what did they tell
Mm.
you? And I'm sure males go through some of this as well, but it was like, well, it's the age. It's the stage of life that you're going through.
Mm-hmm.
It's, oh yeah, just exercise and eat right. I've been exercising and eating pretty right most of my life.
Mm.
But at this stage, I'm putting on like 50, 60 pounds in a year. Like this isn't normal. That's not the stage of life.
Mm-hmm.
I had gone from, I think when Richard and I first had gotten together, I think I was probably about like 175, which is, I was comfortable. I was happy. I like that. I liked who I was at 175. When I got to the point where I was like, okay, I need medical help. I need to like figure out what's going on with me because this isn't right. I was at 247.
Mm.
I mean, this was like the heaviest I'd ever been in my life. And just, was completely like, this isn't me anymore. I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel healthy. I don't, all of that. So going to like, just a primary care doctor, I was like, okay, so you're just telling me that I need to watch what you eat, watch your carb and sugar intake and exercise. And I'm like, I'm doing that. That's already what I've been
Mm-hmm.
doing. I've been trying to this is more than that. So I had to go and seek out help from
Yeah.
other doctors, other,
Yeah.
professionals that specialized in exactly this to figure out like, yeah, because I'm like, there's got to be a hormone imbalance in here somewhere. There's got
Mm-hmm.
to be other factors that are feeding into this because this is like a rapid weight gain for me. And now I can't even get the motivation to even start to even try to see like, is exercise going to help this? And I'd been exercising on and off during this period, but it just kind of like, started to dwindle down to where I didn't even have the motivation to even want to work out.
Mm-hmm.
And the working out was becoming the exception, and the sitting on the couch was like my normal every day. So finally went to a doctor who specialized in women of a certain age, and then also helping with weight and hormone therapy and looking at all of that stuff. And yeah, he did the pound, he took all the tests, and we looked through
Mm-hmm.
everything, and come to find out, one, I was diabetic, which I
Mm.
had no idea, and my primary care doctor did not like
Mm.
test me for.
Mm.
And two, I had Hashimoto's disease, which I still have Hashimoto's disease, which is a thyroid condition. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, well, first thing is like, you're diabetic. Like, Did you know that? And I'm like, no. He's like, you're not pre-diabetic. You're not like getting close. You are squarely diabetic. Like your A1C, I think at the time my
Mm,
A1C was like a 7.3 or something. So I was like, that was very much diabetic. He's like, haven't you been having like diabetic symptoms or what? And I was like, I couldn't even tell you what a diabetic symptom is. I have no idea.
mm-hmm,
And he's
mm-hmm,
like, okay. So he's like, yeah, the things that you're telling me definitely are diabetic symptoms. You know, you're
mm,
tired, you're swollen, you know, you have like skin discoloration, you know, especially in the creases, you know, you get like kind of like a dark line and some of the creases, the areas where your skin kind of rubs together.
mm.
You know, those kinds of things, those are all like diabetic symptoms. And then with the swelling, especially in my hands, in my feet, in my ankles, my knees, you know, things like that where I was feeling that was from the Hashimoto's. He's like, you know, so you're kind of getting a lot of these like exhausted, you know, it's from these things that you're experiencing. And then and of course, you know, he went through a hormone panel to see, he's like, yeah, you are out of balance with your hormones as well. And he's like, but you're not going through perimenopause or menopause or anything like that. He's like, you know, your estrogen levels, those are fine. Those are high. Those are
Mm,
good. You're not in perimenopause.
mm.
You are out of balance with some of your other hormones, and your body is also
Wow.
battling diabetes and Hashimoto's disease. That's what we need to fix. The first thing he did was not, and this is why I say, please advocate for yourself and go find help where you might need it.
Mm-hmm.
It was diet. He didn't say like, okay, I'm going to put you on all of these pills. And that was actually like one of the things that I told him is like, I don't want to have to be on 12
Right,
different medications.
right.
I don't want to have to constantly be putting like all of this stuff into my body.
Mm.
He was like, no, like what we need to do is change your diet first. We need to see like what you're eating and we need to go from there. And once we change the diet and what you're putting into your body, then we can see like, okay, then what
Yes.
might we need to medicate if we have to medicate going after that.
Mm.
He's like, let's get
Good for
that
you.
first. And so, and then that was the other thing too. Went through with somebody who knew what they were talking about to explain to me what I should be eating, what I shouldn't be eating,
Mm.
and go over all of that with you. And that's where like, you know, the biggest change for me came from was like, okay. And I cut a lot of things out. And I will say this. So I went from being kind of like, you know, I wouldn't say like a pit of despair, but just being in a, you know, like in a pretty low place for myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
To going to the doctor, hearing this and being so hopeful that like finally hearing somebody tell me like, oh no, this is why you feel this way,
Yes.
that gave me
Yes.
so much more hope and like, oh, uh, they give me an explanation as to what was going on with me because my other doctors were just like, oh, it's just the age, it's just where you're at in life, just do this, you know, it is going to get harder, it is going to be harder
Mm.
for you to lose the weight, it is going to be like this is going to be the new norm. And to like, no, there's a reason, you know, there are medical reasons why this is happening to you, and let's fix that, and then we'll go from there. We'll keep trying to like figure out what is going to be best for
Right.
you and your body. And just that, I left that appointment, that very first appointment, feeling so much better, feeling so
Mm.
much more hopeful,
Yeah.
and like actually having like a reason why I was feeling this way, because I couldn't figure it out on my, I was like, I don't know, this has never been me, this has
Yeah.
never been who I am, you know, I've never been like this. To then like, oh my gosh, there is a reason, and not only that, but there's a way out.
Mm.
There is, I can actually like, there's a plan here, I've got a plan now, and I can
Love
reverse
it.
the way that I'm feeling, and I don't have to just accept it as like this is who I am now. It's like,
Right.
no, there's lots of things you can do to make yourself feel better.
And I cannot help but to think, Elena, thank you so much for your transparency, for your advocacy, for bringing the advocacy point to light of how many of our sisters, our elders, take for face value what their primary care physician says.
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
you're a physician, you're the expert. Okay,
Yeah,
I guess
exactly.
that's what I need. And I say
Yeah,
this because we are in a similar boat that
yeah,
we've had to advocate and advocate and advocate, and we are educated individuals. Like,
right.
no, we know it's just not a pill that we need. We
Yes,
know something's off. We need more than just, okay, you need to take this new pill. We're like,
right.
no, no. So we've had to go out of our own way to find specialists, this specialist, this referral.
Yes,
We're like, damn. But if we didn't do that, who knows where in the
Right.
hell we would have been?
Right. Yes,
Who
exactly. I still
knows?
would have been sitting there struggling
Mm-hmm.
because she didn't offer any help. And that was the other thing too. It was like, oh, well, just figure it out. This is what you got to do now. And it's kind of like, and that was like the end of the conversation.
Yeah.
And there
Yeah.
was no, like, they didn't offer any real help or any real direction. It was like, oh, well, do some research, you'll figure it out. And it's the kind of the new normal, the age that you're, and I felt like it was so dismissive.
Mm,
It
mm,
was so dismissive of how I was feeling and the point in
mm-hmm.
life that I was in. And actually going to someone who like at least specialized in this area and like knowing like, yeah, let's dig into this
Right.
because this isn't normal and you
Right.
don't have to like suffer it, alone. That just made it, that was it. That was that was the light being turned on. That was that
Good
was
for
like the
you.
way out for me. And I felt so much better. To and then I was motivated, and that sparked the motivation back up, right? Because then I
Mm-hmm.
saw a plan and I was like, oh, okay, great, there's something for me to do here. Like I don't have to
Mm-hmm.
accept this, but I can actually do something about it.
Right.
And then I had, so yeah, like I changed my diet. And that was one of those things too where people are like always afraid of like, oh my gosh, it was not nearly as hard as it had been in
Yeah.
the past. And it
Yeah.
really was a struggle in the past to be like, oh, geez, like to cut out my bread, to cut out like tortillas, to cut out, like that kind of stuff. Yeah, whatever. No, like
Yeah.
this point in my life, and I think it also comes with age. Like you realize, yeah, things are different. I'm different. This is what I wanted to do now to make myself healthy.
Mm-hmm.
I, you avoid as much as you can refined sugars and refined
Mm-hmm.
flour, and
But Elena, you said it so early on in our conversation. You wanted to feel
yes,
better. At the end of the
yes,
day, you wanted it to feel better. Yes, the weight loss is going to come. Yes, the muscle's going to come. Yes,
right,
that's a byproduct. But at the end of the day, your goal is that you
yeah.
want to wake up and feel like, oh, I
Like
feel
myself again. I just wanted to feel like myself again.
mm-hmm.
And I think too that's so you do. I mean, yeah, vanity can be a really great motivator, and it is. You want to look good in your clothes, sure. You want to look sexy, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, at least, and I don't know if it's just where I was at in my life, I just wanted to feel like myself again.
Mm,
And that's what I didn't want to accept. When my primary care is telling me like, oh, this is just who you are now, and and I'm like, no, because this is not who I have been my entire life. My entire life I have been this, Elena, and now you're telling me that I'm this. Like
mm-hmm.
that's not. I can't, like, I couldn't accept that. And so I just wanted to feel like myself again, and doing this and like really advocate,
Good
like
for you.
seeking it out, looking
Yes.
for it, having to like, yes, I need to find a doctor who does this. And I had to do that
Yes.
research. I had to go and figure out like, okay, how do I get an appointment with
That's
these
right.
people and do that? And then going and seeing them
Mm-hmm.
completely just changed the trajectory of where I was going health wise at this point in my life. Now, oh yeah, and that's true. The weight loss was a byproduct
Mm-hmm.
because like I went with a completely anti-inflammatory diet. That was one of the things that I started off with was
Mm-hmm.
anti-inflammatory paleo diet to start, because I really had to, because we had to figure out like what was causing the swelling, especially
Mm,
with Hashimoto's disease.
mm-hmm.
It's a autoimmune disease, and so there are things that it's attacking my thyroid, and it comes from not having a healthy gut. And so you have to figure out like what is causing your enzymes in your gut and everything else that starts to attack and go and like attack other parts of your body.
Yeah.
So I cut out dairy. I cut out grains, pretty much grains of all kind, especially in the
Mm,
in the very beginning, because I really had to, in order to figure out like, okay, what's triggering this?
right. Right.
Like what is triggering me to
Right.
like, all of a sudden, because I'd get pain. And that was the other thing too. Like I was getting pain,
Mm,
not just like the swelling, but the
mm,
pain. And I would have that like in my joints, and it was just like weird. That's why I said like this was just not me. Like
yeah.
I knew something else was going on. So cutting out all of those different things, at first it was very severe. So it was very much like, it was like, okay, clean
Mm-hmm.
meat, lean meats, and then like healthy meats, grass fed, like really looking for things that are like healthy and not ultra processed, no processed foods, no fast foods, vegetables, fruit,
Mm-hmm.
and then just sticking to that. And that was really it. And it was, like, and honestly, I felt like that kind of made it simple for me. It's like, all right, meat, vegetables, and fruit. As long as it fit in that category, it didn't matter. I could eat whatever I wanted as long as it was in that category. Okay, fine, then good. So that's how I started. That's what I started with, and cut everything else out.
Mm.
And that really did help. The inflammation went down. All the joint, like feeling pain in my joints, and all of that started to, the
That's
swelling.
fantastic. That is
Yeah, all of
fantastic,
it
Elena.
started. And that just kind of like, okay, and then it snowballed. Then I got more like into it and starting to like, okay, so
Yeah.
what should I be? What other things can I do to make me feel like, and adding turmeric to my food, and like starting to think about like what are some of the other things that I can do to make me feel healthy, and then realizing that 80% is diet,
Right.
20% is activity. So whatever you're putting into your body is what is fueling you, and is, that's really what's going to change your makeup.
100%.
At this point in my life, that the diet was super, super important.
100%.
And now, going from 247 when I started this journey, again, like, that was, the weight loss was a byproduct, but now I'm at 179. So I'm almost back to the 175 where I was
All
at
right.
when Rich and I first got together.
Yes.
I know,
Yes.
and just from, and it hasn't been, where I've been trying to like starve myself. I don't starve myself. I don't,
Yeah.
and again, like I don't beat myself up if I don't get that work in, the workout in every single day, like for 2 hours a day or anything like that. My goal is 30 minutes, at least 3 to 4 times a day or a week, and then we'll go from there. And we'll see what happens. Some weeks maybe it's only twice that week that I really get a chance to like, get a workout in because it's a busy week. That's okay, because next week you're gonna make it. You're gonna keep it. This is a journey. It rolls over. You're gonna keep doing it. But every day, especially if you stay with a healthy diet for you, whoever, whatever. Everybody's an individual. A healthy diet for you. It all works out. Like all that stuff like feeds into it. Now, I now get into supplements and
All
all that.
that. Right.
I started to get into like, oh, okay, like let me make sure that I'm also, putting other healthy things in that I might not necessarily be getting from the food, and making sure that I'm doing that as well. But that all comes with time, and
It does.
so,
No, I'm proud of you. I'm happy for you that you are where you are in this journey and that you are feeling better. You're feeling yourself again.
100%. I
Fantastic.
stress that so much with everybody that I talk to, especially I'm talking to other females, and they even a little bit express that they might be feeling something. I jump right into it. Like I can't. I jump on that soapbox. And I'm like, look,
Absolutely.
man, get into a doctor who understands what you're going through.
That's right. That's right. I mean, that's the big takeaway. I think if listeners, viewers, advocate for yourself.
Right. 100%. Yeah.
In your health journey, if something is off, don't get a second opinion. See someone else. Please be your best advocate, especially as Latinas and Latinos, Latinx communities, brown communities. Please advocate for yourself. Thank you, Elena, for saying that. I want to ask you this, Elena. I want to ask you this. What comes to mind when you hear and or see Movement Es Medicina?
Honestly, I say this because we have known each other for a long time.
For a long time, yes.
And I have seen different iterations of you. And I will say this to anybody who is listening.
Remember, I can edit. I have editing privileges. I can say that. I'm kidding.
You're listening to the podcast if you're watching. This man has gone through a lot of iterations of himself. And I have seen him go from unhealthy states to who you are now. And when we talk about movement is medicine, you are like the poster guy for that. I mean, just seeing how motivated and I'm not even talking about necessarily the weight loss, because that's the big thing, right? Because that's the physical thing that everybody sees. Everybody sees the weight loss, and that's the first thing that everybody kind of gravitates towards, and that's just it. But who you are in terms of your energy, the energy that you put out into the world, your positivity, all of that has come. I feel that so much more seeing you in this iteration of yourself, where you are like pushing yourself physically to do those things, those goals that you have set for yourself. I never, Mark back in at ASU would not have been running marathons. He would not be this guy. I mean, guys, I got receipts. I got the pictures. I mean, that was not him. We could look at those. Like, Mark at the cookout, sure. Mark it wasn't that, but this
No.
Mark, you see, like, and that, I think, you kind of coming into this part of, coming into your own and in this iteration of yourself, you've always been positive. You've always, like, really been like an advocate for the community, for people and all of that. But I just feel like there's something stronger about you. There's something stronger about your aura, your personality, the things that you stand for, what you're really trying to do for the community, putting the stories out there, advocating, all of that. I feel like there's something so much more intense and stronger about you. So when you talk about that, Movimiento Es Medicina, what I think about is your journey, because you have made this happen for yourself. And I feel like you're putting it out there so that other people can also do it for themselves in whatever shape or form that might be. It doesn't have to be marathons. It doesn't have to be, cutting out all grains and refined sugars and fast foods and all of that. It just has to be whatever is good for you, so that you feel like, as an individual, feel healthy. And that's what, when I think about this and I think about what you're trying to do, the podcast and everything else that you're putting out there, I've bought his workbook. I've bought it for some of my students, and have given that out as like gifts, so that they can, the students can see that as well. But it does, like, those kinds of things, like, help to be able to journal and to be able to track, and to be able to, like, write out your feelings, and balance helps with, like, mental health, and, like, really, like, kind of coming up with why are you doing it, what's your journey about, like, those kind of things. That's what I think about. And it's only because I see you as being like this push, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're out there and you're trying, but it really is about, like, the movement is just to get people to feel healthy, to be happy with who they are, to feel healthy, and try to advocate that for others. So I see that. That's how I see it. The first thing when it comes, like, come to mind.
Thank you, sis. Gracias. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I know you have receipts, and I'm going to tell Richard to burn them. Next time I'm going to text him right now, tell him to burn those receipts.
Right?
But I know you got them. I know you got them at the carne asada, at the cookouts, I know you do. I know you do.
Dance parties. I will say this though, you always love to dance. And that's the other thing too. Dance, movement, any kind of movement.
That's right.
And you've always loved to dance. You've always been like one of the first people out there on the dance floor moving and shaking. So, I love that. I say, I know we make jokes. I know we make jokes, but
of course.
Always been like super positive and very, everything that you've put out there, I feel like it's been a great asset to our community. So
thank you, sis. I appreciate that. Give me one question to ask my next guest. You don't know who they are. Okay. You don't know their background, but give me a question to ask them.
You know what? So just kind of go off what we were just talking about. Asking what are they going to advocate for themselves? What's going to be their next thing that they're going to advocate for themselves?
Okay.
And it could be anything. Is it like time to be able to find a passion that you love and to be able to, like, institute that into your life? Is it seeking out medical help to, like, really help with an issue that you might be having or you're struggling with? Is it advocating more time for you and your partner, or anything, or you and your kids, but what is going to be that one thing that you want to advocate for yourself?
Okay, thank you. Something they're going to advocate for themselves.
Yes,
I love it. Yeah. And on the flip side, a previous guest gave me a question to ask my next guest, so here it is. Okay. What is some positive self-talk that you give yourself to get out of a funk?
Ooh, to get
positive self-talk. Mm-hmm.
Well, you know what? Okay, so I've never been real flowery. Not like come on.
No me digas, not you. No way.
Right? No, that's not me. So when I talk to myself to motivate myself,
yes,
I say, like, and not. I mean, I know it's probably like a step up from being mean, but it's to myself. Like, okay. Is this really what you want to be today? Is this really what we're doing? Like, it is, you
Mm.
know, like if I'm like, okay, no, all right, no, I need to get up. I need to, whatever it is that I need to do. Like today, this week has been spring break, so I've been off. But every day so far this week, I wanted to clean this house. We just moved into a new house. You know, we just got married. We bought this house, you know, like whatever.
Yes, yes,
So like
yes.
this week,
Love
I
it.
was like, man, I need to be able to clean, and I wanted to organize. We got a room next door that I have like just stuff that I haven't even unpacked yet. So I'm like, all right, I want to organize that room. I'm on spring break. There's a bunch of things that I want to do around this house. So earlier, and we get up stupid early in the morning. Richard and I are very, very early people. And I'm talking about like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. We're awake. So like for me, 6 o'clock, I want to be up, moving around, getting things cleaned up and whatnot. So 6 o'clock rolled around this morning and I was still drinking my coffee, watching the news. And I was just like, really, Elena? It's already 6 o'clock. Come on, let's go. You don't have time to be sitting around all day. Finish your coffee. And I say, and again, this is how I talk to myself. Finish your coffee. You got 10 minutes. Finish your coffee and let's move. And that's what I did. I was like, okay, I gave myself 10 minutes to finish my coffee. And then I was like, all right, you can turn the TV up so that you can still hear the news, but let's get moving. I wanted to get the dishes done. And then I wanted to start doing laundry and just things because I clean better when Richard's not in the house. So Richard was already at work. He had already left. So I was like, okay, good. I'm by myself in the house. I can get all the things done that I wanted to get done today. But that's how I talk to myself when I need to motivate myself. It's like, all right, come on, Elena.
Love
Really?
it.
Like
I love it.
it's a little tough love kind of.
Tough love. That's right. That's right. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Elena, hermana, familia, muchísimas gracias. I appreciate your time, Elena Beltran.
Anytime.
I am truly grateful for your time and for joining me on Movement Es Medicina. Inspired by you. I am rooting for you. You are truly sacred and a blessing. Congratulations again to you and Richard. Just love all the brown love that's happening. Brown people in love. I love it. I love it. Rooting for you all. But you are truly a blessing in our sacred. So thank you again for your time. And mi gente, you can find her at Nen Art AZ. What Nen NEN underscore
NEN underscore art underscore AZ.
AZ. Perfect,
Yeah.
perfect.
It's
On
one of those things
IG.
where you don't realize when you start an account that that's gonna be your account. And
You can
yeah,
change it, Elena. You can change it. You can change it.
well,
You
at
can
this
change
point, no, like I'm not changing it now. I got it out like everywhere, so now it is what it is, guys. It's a weird name, but that's where I'm at.
Mi gente. Remember, please remember, recognize your dopeness. We are dope, educated individuals. Like this episode, ask us questions, give us feedback. Follow me, follow Nen, follow me at SuperMarkRock or at Movement Es Medicina on Apple Podcast, Spotify Podcast, as well as on YouTube. Please give us a like, give us a shout. Gracias, mi gente. Until next time, paz y luz.
Bye.